So I'm here with Chris Galibert, the crazy Frenchman, sixth degree black belt in ITF. Now, Chris, you're the current national coach for the Australian team. Do you see any prospects today? What do you think of the talent at today's tournament?
Yeah, we've had a fair few good fights in our juniors and senior groups, so I think it's probably a good thing just before our nationals in a couple of months in Brisbane. So yeah, I'm pretty confident we're going to get a super team for next year.
So you mentioned those selection trials coming up in June, which are going to be in Brisbane. Send a team to London for the World Championships. Now, think about when the early days of Taekwondo, and I know you competed in some national teams as well, when the Australians used to basically go to championships to make up numbers, and the last few times we're actually coming home with a suitcase full of medals due to the work of guys like yourself. How do you feel that the general progression of standard has gone, and what are some of the reasons why our competitors seem to be doing better internationally at the last few efforts compared to those early days?
I think we've been fortunate enough to bring to our country Master Choi a few times and a few of those grandmasters, and I think that raised the standard of most of the instructors. And we noticed in the last couple of World Championships we pretty much nearly as good as the best countries, so it's pretty good for the future.
Now, today, of course, is the 60th anniversary of Taekwondo, and you came to this country with a Taekwondo background. Tell us a little bit about how you started Taekwondo, where you started, in what environment, what sort of led you to start Taekwondo, and what kept you motivated in those early days?
Well, I grew up in France, which is, what can I say, much rougher than Australia. So we had no choice, man. As a young fellow, my mum put me straight to martial arts just to basically learn to defend myself, because the schoolyard were pretty rough and the street were pretty rough. So, and I've sort of enjoyed it since then, and that's why I kept going.
So, thinking forwards, like who are some, you mentioned Master Choi and some of the leading instructors, Master Whitley and so on, that influenced you a lot moving forwards. What are your future plans for Taekwondo in the shorter term, and where do you see yourself over the next 5 years, for example, doing with Taekwondo?
I think eventually I'll probably end up being promoted to Master, I suppose, which is it's going to happen whenever it happens. I don't know. It's not that important to me.
We have to recommend you.
And I see myself as trying to keep working towards the standard of our country and make sure we keep going forward the way we've been going forward in the last 5 or 6 years.
Now, you run the Jungwha Taekwondo School out of Brisbane. You've got quite a successful school, quite a strong school, always have a strong representation at these types of championships. What is it about tournaments? Obviously, you're very, very passionate about tournament, you coach, and you come to these events. What is it about tournaments that really excites you, or you really love about tournament?
Obviously, catching up with old friends from a different part of Australia is always great, but I think for students, the tournament is the only way really to improve themselves, not only on the self-defense aspect, but on self-confidence mainly. By competing against others and that are not their friends, they're really raising their self-confidence, and the more they compete, the more confident they become. And I think it's a great things for young teenagers those days.
One thing I noticed about your school, and I've been fortunate enough to have a lot of involvement, you're very big on the bonding aspect outside of class, like not only the students but also families. How important do you think that is for the success of your club?
It's paramount. Without the family support, there's no club. So we make sure, like for example, we came to Melbourne, we've got 6 families, we stay in the same hotel, we go for dinners together, we put the kids to bed, the old ones, we go for drinks. It's a very good, excellent team bonding, I'd say.
Now, I tried to speak to your wife a little bit earlier on, but she wouldn't speak to me today either. But we twisted your arm. But anyway, now you have a couple of children, and one's a reigning ITF World Champion. The other one is on her way, and she's showing really good progress, black belt also. Now, what's the secret to producing black belts, children? I know trained by their own father, it can be a difficult thing to do, but you seem to have made it work, not only being able to train your kids, but get your kids to quite a high standard, or the highest standard. How do you find that relationship, and why do you think that's worked so well?
Because we've always combined, I think, Taekwondo, family and friends. So we've never been to a championship just ourselves. It's always other friends, families that are all involved in Taekwondo, so that assist in them wanting to keep going. Sometimes they're not that keen on training, but they're going to come to training because their friends are there, and it's great bonding. At the end of the day, it works because they all compete with one another. They just enjoy it. So yeah, no, I think the main thing is really to mix sports and the outside activities such as family and friends and enjoying and traveling together.
So just in wrapping up, how have you found today's tournament, this championships, in terms of organisation, the layout, and we're here on My Sport Live today and hopefully being watched by millions of people, but a few dozen anyway. How had you found it?
First of all, thank you, Master Muleta, for organising this. That was outstanding. Having television is pretty cool. The kids I know their friends are Facebooking them, saying they've seen them fighting. So that's a great way to promote our beautiful art. So no,
they Facebooked me too and said the commentary was pretty bad.
Oh well, we're learning. No, that's been an outstanding day. We really enjoyed it.
Okay, fantastic. Great to have your support. Good to see you again, my friend. And looking forward to tonight's celebration.
Me too.